Welcome to StepOnDegas, a podcast about art history and how easy it is to commit an art heist. I'm your host, Samantha Crouch, and today with me is my mother, Stephanie Crouch, who is the reason I decided to do the Art Heist podcast in the first place. You actually helped me out a great amount with the last episode about the Gardner heist.
Yeah. Gardner Museum is something I'm really passionate about.
So, what got you into it initially? Wasn't it a book?
Actually, I love heists.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for a good heist book, and there was a book that was an adaptation of the Gardner Museum heist. And so I had to learn all about it.
So today, of course, we were talking about the Louvre heist that happened just last year. Have you always wanted to go to the Louvre?
Yes and no. It is one of the most popular museums in the world.
Right.
Which means I would absolutely love to go there.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't want there to be other people.
That's a fair point. Yeah, because the Mona Lisa's there, and it's like everybody crowds around like this little tiny painting, and then this room is full of so much more gorgeous stuff.
Exactly.
That just gets ignored.
Yep.
I mean, come on now. I guess on top of this, would you say the heist has made you want to go more or less?
I think I didn't realize the scope and breadth of the paintings and art that they had.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's, kind of makes me want to go more just because I had no idea how many cool things were actually there.
Right. Actually, just to get into this, the Louvre holds the Mona Lisa, as we just mentioned, Venus de Milo, Winged Victory, and Liberty Leading the People. And of course, if you haven't caught on by now, these are all the pieces that you can get in the Animal Crossing world. So, I mean, for those who don't know, there is an art museum in Animal Crossing, and then there's this fox named Red, and then you can go up to his ship, and then he sometimes has these paintings. Some are real, some are fake, but those are just a few that you can try and get. And there's so many from the Louvre. I think that's just such an interesting little detail. So, I want to say the Gardner heist, going back to that, I think that was about I guess today that would be now about $600 million, I believe.
Well, it's difficult.
Sure.
These items are priceless.
Yeah.
You can't replace a Rembrandt once it's gone.
Absolutely, period.
Yes, but that is correct. It was one of the most expensive heists in history.
Sure, yeah. How much would you say the Louvre cost, if you were to give an estimate?
I mean, it was 8 pieces of jewelry, so you'd have to, while you could never replace the provenance of the tiara and who owned it and things like that, you could look at it and say there were 1,200 emeralds in this, and the going rate for, these emeralds would be X, Y, or Z. I'd say a couple million would be a guess, but again, I'm on the side of it's priceless. They are unreplaceable.
Couple million is selling it a little short, I would say, because for my research, it was estimated to be around 88 million euros, but for reference, that is well over 103.8 million US dollars.
Not bad for a couple sparkles.
I like that. So yeah, not as much as the Gardner Museum, but I would say the Louvre is about 1/6 of the price.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that makes sense when you compare the, like a Rembrandt with a reliquary brooch. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, before we get into any more details, why don't you tell me what your initial reaction was to when the Louvre happened?
I was sadly not surprised. Museums are terribly unsecured.
Absolutely.
And, we learned that through the Gardner heist. It's just, when it comes to arts and humanities, there really does not seem to be enough funding.
Exactly.
And, these are priceless treasures. You would think they would do everything to protect them, but they don't.
Right. And that is also just another one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, was to bring awareness to this fact that is just so upsetting.
I read an article after the Louvre happened about all of the technical deficiencies and security deficiencies, and they were like, the Louvre was just kind of asking for it.
Actually, I do have a list coming up here of all the oopsies from the Louvre.
Yes.
That happened right before the instant the heist happened. So prior to the heist, there was a preliminary report saying that about 1 in 3 of the rooms in the museum had no CCTV cameras, according to French media. The CCTV in the Apollo Gallery was facing the wrong way from where the damage was done. Now, in my research, I couldn't find like any of the footage from that camera, so I just immediately assume it's facing the corner of the room.
It's not. It was kind of, they came in through a window, and it was facing away from the window.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a very long, skinny hall, the Apollo room, and it has these glass cases with, you know, these priceless crown jewels, and the camera was looking the opposite way, kind of probably where people were coming in from. I guess they had not anticipated somebody busting through a window.
Exactly. I mean, there had to have been somebody who's went there like at least once or twice in their life to figure this out.
Right.
So I have another statement here from a member of the French Senate's Finance Committees. Natalie Goulet revealed that the gallery's localized alarm was already faulty to begin with, so once again, this is not much of a surprise, but she then goes on later to say that it was, quote, difficult to understand how this happened so easily.
No.
No, I think we have our answer right there. I think we have our answer right there. No. Okay, show's over. Roll the credits. We're done. That is going to conclude this week's episode. I kid. But no, I do have one more piece of information here. Another oopsies from the Louvre. Somehow it gets worse from here. A 2014 audit by the France National Cybersecurity Agency warned the museum about its serious flaws, including outdated software and quote-unquote trivial passwords. Oh, no.
Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Was it password? No, I'll do you one better. The password for the surveillance system was allegedly, get ready for this one, Louvre.
Yeah, that tracks.
That's, oof, no.
And I believe there had actually been, you know, talks before Parliament extensively, and they were supposed to start some serious renovations in 2026. And now that's all kind of being reviewed again in light of what happened.
Exactly. So, what a bummer. But now that we got through all of, like, the preliminary background information, let's go into the heist and break it down. So, on a cloudy morning of October 19th, 2025, a group of thieves disguised as construction workers stole 8 pieces of French crown jewels. Okay, they stole 9 technically, but successfully stole 8 pieces of French crown jewels.
Dropped the most expensive one.
And we're going to talk about that later during our art analysis. At 9:30 a.m., which was about 30 minutes after the museum opened to the visitors, the thieves parked and entered the south side, which faces the Seine River, using a furniture lift. For reference, for our American listeners, these furniture lifts are like kind of like an escalator or like an emergency slide in order for like larger bulky items to get down from like these larger like floors, or like say if somebody's moving and they need to like transport furniture easily and you can't really use the stairway and you can't use the elevator, you would probably call somebody to use this instead. Something about this already feels so suspicious. If you were to look at the back side of the museum, and if you were to see a furniture truck along with a furniture lift going straight up to the Louvre, would that seem suspicious to you at all?
Actually, in France, no. Evidently, they're quite common.
Yes.
And more, for me, I'd be like, ooh, what are they moving in?
Okay.
I actually think that was kind of genius, because it's here in the United States that would stick out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
But not there. That's how you get things in and out of upper floors of buildings.
Wow. I honestly never thought of it like that. So, because I don't know, something about that seemed, at least from my perspective.
From an American perspective, that is weird.
Yes. I have not assimilated to that idea. We don't use those here, so of course it's going to be suspicious.
Agreed.
So, yes, and then the car, or I guess truck, was parked right outside the Gallery of Apollo. They brought tools and wore orange-yellow vests to help sell the disguises, and I feel like this is such a gimmick that I see in a lot of comedy sketches, where it's like people dress up in like those orange-yellow vests, and then they walk into like a movie theater with like a table or a ladder just to get like free movie seats. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't think of an example.
Oh, I do. I think if you're in any sort of corporate
Yeah.
environment, if you have a clipboard and a pen,
Yeah.
you can get into any room you want.
Wow.
I feel like it's that way. It's kind of like the everyman. You just have to have the confidence that you belong there.
That's exactly it.
And they did.
Just need some confidence. Act like you're there for a purpose.
Yes.
I get it. Yes. So 2 of the 4 members went up in the lift and 2 of the others stayed outside. At the top of the lift on the balcony, they used a disc cutter to cut through a glass window, which triggered the security alarms.
Correct.
Surprisingly.
Yes.
What a shocker. This, of course, made the visitors evacuate, and
Right.
then there was, like, that one video that showed how hectic it was for
Yes.
trying to get everybody out. That must have been just a ridiculous day to try and show up.
And it was kind of sad because, I mean, the security guards were doing their job trying to keep their patrons safe.
Yes.
So because they were doing that, they were not able to pay as much attention to the heisting that was going on behind them.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were really focused on the safety.
After the security guards were threatened with power tools, which is such an interesting
It's a
thing.
flex. Yep.
I mean, sure, you can hurt people with the power tools, I mean, but that's not a normal weapon. But, I mean, it makes sense.
You use what you got.
Of course, of course. The thieves took 9 pieces from 2 glass display cases, ultimately leaving the museum of the lift that they entered. On their way out, the crown of Empress Eugenie dropped onto the street, and we'll get to that later. It was so gorgeous, too, and that makes me so sad. But while the thieves attempted to set fire to the lift before fleeing on 2 scooters, along with the 2 others who waited outside, they followed the river as they left, so I guess they just sort of...
They went down by the Seine. Yep.
Yeah. And then this entire thing only took 8 minutes?
Yes, 4 minutes in the museum total.
Yes, I was gonna say, it was like 8 minutes, but technically they only spent 4 in the museum.
Correct.
I mean, from the security footage that I've seen, they look very frantic.
Yes. I do not think these were inexperienced people, because
Sure.
at least 2 of them have had prior arrests and thefts. They were people of interest anyway.
Yes.
But this is definitely not some gigantic conglomerate mastermind kind of situation either. So,
Yeah. And the Gardner heist only took 81 minutes.
yes, but they took their time.
They took their time. They were like, I'm going to take this one and rip it out of the frame. That's going to make some people so mad.
Oh, no, it makes me ill.
Yep. No. That poor Dutch room. That poor Dutch room. It's believed that all 4 members were found, with the last suspect being charged for organized game theft and criminal conspiracy on November 27th, 2025, over a month after the heist occurred.
Yes.
Better than the Gardner, once again.
Yeah, nobody ever found who did the Gardner, so.
Exactly. But even one of the members' girlfriends was also charged as an accomplice, which
Yes,
is...
she was.
Go women. Go...
Her DNA was there, so.
to be fair, yes. Supporting women's rights and wrongs.
Yeah, and wrongs, yes.
And wrongs. Yes, the locations of the jewels, of course, remains unknown to this day, and the Gallery of Apollo is still closed as of now, which is such a bummer.
We're not going to get those back.
You don't think so?
It was a race against time. It was a race against time. With jewelry specifically.
Yeah.
And I don't want to jump too far ahead.
No,
but
you're good.
The thing they were going to do was bust it up.
Yeah.
They can't sell that specific brooch or the bow. Everybody knows what that is.
Sure.
And even though there is a market for unseemly gains, you know, most likely their biggest bang for their buck is going to be to bust it up and sell the individual loose diamonds, emeralds, and sapphires.
That's so disappointing.
It's heartbreaking. It was a race against time. And I think probably by the end of that day, those things were busted up and gone.
Sounds about right. So now that we are done with breaking down the heist and what exactly happened that day, let's go on to the art analysis. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about that crown of Empress Eugenie. This was attempted to be stolen, but it dropped while the thieves were trying to make it through the window. Apparently, I guess the glass case was too big, and so it dropped, fell on concrete, and now it looks like a deflated balloon. What's your reaction?
I was very sad. It lost one of its eagles.
Yes.
But I think all but one of the emeralds are still in place, and they think they can at least somewhat get it back to as close to its original state as possible.
Yes. The Louvre is soliciting bids for restoring the crown, which has been, quote, badly deformed, obviously, and is missing one of its 8 golden eagles, as you said, and it retained all 56 of its emeralds, but 10 of the 1,354 diamonds.
Ah, okay. I knew they were missing some piece.
Oh, no, 10 diamonds out of the thousands.
Still.
I know. So, more about Empress Eugenie. So, obviously, this all belonged to her. She was married to Napoleon III, who was the last monarch of France as well. Another question for you about this. Do you think the value, if they are able to reconstruct it, even though it probably won't be perfect, do you think the value would increase?
Yes.
Much like a Banksy?
Yes.
Why is that?
I think because of the exposure and people now understanding how precious these things are.
Yes.
It's going to increase the value and kind of driven from a need to protect these things.
But I also think it's still, like, the aspect of being a part of the heist, too, and because it's going to be so, like, known by it as well.
Right.
Like, now, like, people are not only going to think about Empress Eugenie, but they're also going to be thinking, oh, this was the crown that got damaged during the Louvre heist.
Right.
So it's going to have more of a say from that as well.
Yes.
Up next, we are going to talk about the reliquary brooch, a large corsage bow brooch, and the tiara of Empress Eugenie. I'm obsessed with the bow.
The bow is amazing.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
It was supposed to allow a jeweler and the person who was wearing it to be able to designate movement within the piece of jewelry, which was kind of uncommon.
Wow.
Because it has, like, pieces that would kind of sway as the person moved.
Wow.
I love that bow.
It's so gorgeous. All those diamonds. Like, the whole thing is practically diamonds.
It is.
And the tiara is also gorgeous, I think.
Yes.
Just all those pearls. You got a crown from Disney World.
I did. I made my own tiara.
I love that. And then next we have the tiara, necklace, and earring, singular, from the sapphire set of Queen Marie Amélie and Queen Hortense. This set belonged to many figures of royalty over time, of course. Hortense was the Queen of Holland and the wife of King Louis Bonaparte. So I want to say, like, Napoleon was like her father-in-law
Ish.
One of those in-law
Yes.
things. One of them somewhere up
It's
in there.
messy. Yeah.
Yes, very messy. And then we had Marie Amélie of Bourbon Sicilies. This was the final Queen of France, and so it belonged to her as well. But yes, this is a very lavish set. I especially also love this crown in particular. I don't know what's up with the crowns. I love those as well. You can tell all of these pieces were made with such precision and care, probably because whoever made these was getting handsomely paid.
Yes.
Very handsomely paid. But yes, so gorgeous. I mean, not the usual, I guess, like, mode of art that I guess we would discuss on a show like this. However, like, it's still beautiful to look at. It still represents something. It still can tell you about the history and the culture of wherever it came from. So, of course, it's an art form, period.
Yes.
Oh, we have one more. So, one more set. We have the emerald necklace and pair of emerald earrings from the Empress Marie Louise sets. These were the emerald and diamondy necklace. Yes. So it belonged to Mary Louise, and this was the Duchess of Parma, which is, I believe, a region in northern Italy.
Yes. Like Parmesan cheese. Yeah.
Oh, I've made the connection. I've made the connection. This was also Napoleon Bonaparte's second wife.
Yes.
And yes, the set is decorated with emeralds, diamonds. Yeah, so second wife. So doesn't that mean?
Well, the first wife couldn't give him an heir. So when he came to power, even though the first wife was the love of his life, she couldn't give him an heir. So that's when he married the second wife. And she stayed with him until he was relinquished from the crown. And then she just went back home to, from, I guess it was Italy. Whereas, after he was out of power. She was just like, nah, we're going to take the kids and go. Bye.
There you go. One final thing to end this quarter off. Would you, if you could, wear any of these jewelry.
I want the reliquary brooch.
I want the bow.
Well, the bow is different from the reliquary.
Yeah.
But I want the reliquary one, even though it's normally that holds a relic.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in that brooch itself that has a space for a relic. But it's still stunning. I do love that bow, too. Ugh.
I love the bow. I'm so devastated about that. I'm, of course, devastated about the crown. Still very gorgeous. I guess the thieves were like, ooh, shiny, and then got whatever looked prettiest, which, dang it. Okay, to be fair, it could have been, like...
It's a room full of pretties.
Yeah!
They could have, you know...
Exactly!
I really don't feel like they did a whole lot of research. It was kind of more of a smash and grab, because there were much higher value things in the room.
Exactly.
I think they went, ooh, shiny, pretty, and took these.
Right, and like a pattern that I've noticed as of recently with these thieves and doing these research is that they don't really do their research in looking for what is most expensive, but rather taking what they first see, maybe seeing like, oh, this is a self-portrait of somebody, maybe this means this guy was famous, maybe he was a king, I'll take that one. I think that's kind of like their thought process, at least with those paintings, and then of course you get the crowns and that means royalty, and then you take that.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
these guys were not dumb but also not educated in what they were thieving.
Exactly, that's exactly it. Up next, I want to talk about the Fedora Man. I know he reminds us of a family friend that we knew who went to high school with me, but there's also a TikToker out there named Torin Wolf. Have you heard of him? He reminds me so much of him also.
Yes.
But I don't know. Maybe somebody out there will know who he is.
Evidently, this kiddo liked to dress up as 1930s, 1940s Paris activism, kind of like Les Mis, but later.
Interesting.
That was kind of, and he thinks that when you go to something like the Louvre, you should dress appropriately.
Respect.
And his mom actually was the daughter of an artist and a gallery owner and grew up in a gallery kind of museum kind of thing. So he grew up with that. It's just what he does.
I didn't even notice that. That's really cool.
Yep, he's a good kid.
His name is Pedro Elias Garzon Delvaux, and he was pictured in front of the Louvre on the day of the heist. His noir detective style caused him to go viral from said picture, and many people thought the image was AI generated. I mean, respectfully, that makes sense. You can't trust anything nowadays. And others thought he might have been involved in the crime in some way. Maybe he was, like, brought onto the scene, perhaps.
I thought he was cosplaying. Yeah.
That's what you thought?
Oh. Kind of like Disney bounding, where you kind of dress up as kind of the character, but in normal clothes. That's what I thought he was, like, museum bounding.
Museum bounding, sure. And apparently the jacket he also wore was a Yves Saint Laurent. Very fancy. That's
He's 15. His mama bought him that. So.
Oh, yeah. When you first saw this, what did you initially think was the reasoning for him being there?
At first, I kind of thought maybe he was a detective.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't tell from the original picture how young he was.
Sure.
And plus his clothing was aging him a little bit. Also, he was standing around law enforcement like he kind of belonged there. And the truth is, he just lived like 3 minutes away.
Exactly.
So they had just kind of walked down for the day to spend the afternoon at the Louvre like you do.
Of course.
So, he had that kind of casual, I belong here. And I didn't question it at all. I kind of wanted to know who it was.
Yeah, I mean, makes perfect sense. Absolutely. And what's also really funny is that he didn't even realize he went viral until a few days later when a friend told him.
Yes, he was not a social media kind of guy.
I wish I was so chronically offline but like him. I want to be free. I don't want to be glued to the phone. Yes, I'm going to wrap this up with a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
What do you think that the Louvre should have done better?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, these guys, in fairness, they were thieves, but not art patrons.
Yeah.
And it seems very absurd here in the United States, but the fact that they dressed up as construction workers, took the elevated stairs up the back of the building, which did not raise any red flags.
Right.
They did this after the museum was open. They didn't do it in the dark of night. It just... I get it. The only thing I have a problem with, scooters, really, guys. But no, and I really appreciate the way the French law enforcement is handling this, because originally, Parliament and everybody was up in arms, and they wanted a very strong police presence inside the museum.
Yeah.
And the museum and the patrons said, absolutely not. This is our place.
Yeah.
We need, I want to stand nose to nose with the art. I don't want to have to go through, all of the security and see armed guards everywhere. It takes you out of the art.
It does.
The police were there in 3 or 4 minutes, which is unheard of.
Wow.
There's a station right there. So that's, I think considering all of the deficiencies that were there before.
Sure.
I think the police and the patrons and the administrators of the museum, they're doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have any recommendations for them except for start earlier. But they've been begging for money for a while.
Yeah.
And I really don't think it's on the Louvre. I think it's on whoever bequeaths those funds.
Exactly.
They're the ones that needed to do something different.
You summarized it so perfectly. To contrast the previous question, what do you think that the thieves should have done better?
Okay, my biggest beef with these guys.
Yes.
Why are you leaving your DNA everywhere? There is over 150 pieces of DNA that was left behind.
Wow.
Not only that, they left their power tools. They left their tools. They left their gloves. Not to mention that they smashed the glass and that had DNA all over it.
Exactly.
They also left some of their scooter helmets.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't have an issue with the scooters because I think in France that would actually be very common and it would be very easy to get in and out of where they were trying to go.
Well, Roman holiday.
Exactly.
I mean, wrong place. Close enough, though.
But still similar infrastructure and acceptance of that kind of mode of transportation. But y'all, why are you leaving bits of you everywhere? It's just, I feel so much DNA and so sloppy leaving all of your things. I mean, I get you didn't think you were going to get away scot-free, right? Why did you not wear, like proper things to keep your fingerprints off stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah. The other problem is that they took off and then they hid evidently the jewels in a parking garage nearby.
Are you serious?
But nobody's seen them. That's the last time anybody saw them.
Wow.
So who knows? I think I probably would have done a little bit of research, maybe done a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And identified things that were more valuable. I mean, we're talking Napoleon's second wife.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are so many things in that room. But yeah, that's my biggest beef with them, is that they just left DNA everywhere.
Yeah. Like you actually have like a personal vendetta against them.
A little bit. Yeah, do it right,
To be fair, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast today. It was so fun.
Thank you for inviting me and for letting me talk about my hyperfocus.
I love that. Thank you so much for your help as well. Yes, handshake. Yes. So that is going to wrap up today's episode. Be sure to tune in next week when we discuss how on earth an entire room got stolen.
Not the Amber Room.
Yes, we are talking about the Amber Room heist. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye. That is going to conclude this week's episode of StepOnDegas. If you'd like to stay informed about when we're going to have new episodes each week, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter at StepOnDegas01. And special thanks to our patrons and our sponsors for supporting us this episode.